Good morning, everybody. So welcome to this RUCKUS Technical Family Day presentation on behalf of Purdicom. My name's Simon Williams. I'm one of the UK and Ireland systems engineers within RUCKUS Networks. And we're going to take you through today the positioning and pros and cons and product areas within RUCKUS Cloud, and then specifically talk about migration from ZoneDirector to RUCKUS Cloud, which is quite a topic of the moment in terms of ZoneDirector migrations. How things are going to run today. First of all, thank you for joining. One of my colleagues is also on here, so Daryl Rhodes is also on, ready to help answer any questions you may have. So, as is usual, you can use the Q&A window within Zoom here. It does say on the slide there chat, but if you use the Q&A window, I think that will allow Daryl to have a look at the questions and answers as we go through. I'll be stopping every now and again to look at those as well. And we'll make a start. Roughly on timings, we've got probably about 90 minutes of content and then some time for questions and answers as we go through. So do ask your questions as we go along, and we'll take you straight into the presentation. Okay, so we're going to go through, for those of you that aren't so familiar with RUCKUS, we're going to go through a brief RUCKUS Networks introduction, bring you up to date on that. And then we'll be looking at the portfolio and narrowing down specifically on cloud. So in the portfolio, we'll be looking at the wireless products as well as the LAN switching products, the control and management, brief reminder of those. And then we'll look specifically at cloud in terms of the topic of the day. How to get your customers towards cloud. We'll look at positioning. We'll look at some licensing, how that works and how easy that actually is. And then more specifically from a technical point of view, being a technical family distributor day, we're going to look at how you would take ZoneDirector access points and move them onto RUCKUS Cloud. So that should take us through, and we'll see how we go as we move through on Q&A. Okay, so first of all, the RUCKUS journey. So RUCKUS Networks, very, very briefly, has come from a long history and heritage, if you like to call it that, of a number of different companies. And this can be quite interesting to certain customers of yours that might actually remember some of these older companies. So first of all, on the switch side, the switches and the ICXs came from a heritage back in 1996 when Foundry Networks was around. Foundry Networks was a competitor to a much smaller Cisco at the time, I guess. And so customers that didn't particularly want to buy Cisco would come and look at Foundry. So they had a big customer base based on internet service providers of the time, education customers, and so on for the switching. That then got acquired by Brocade, a name that a few of you may remember in the storage side. And then we got together with RUCKUS on the wireless side to bring together the complete RUCKUS Networks story of wired and wireless together, which is kind of where we sit today. So lots and lots of developments have happened in terms of bringing wired and wireless closer together. We were then acquired a little while back by CommScope. So CommScope about a little over 18 months ago. So we're now part of the CommScope family in terms of what is effectively the RUCKUS Networks portfolio. So all the campus equipment sits in that RUCKUS Networks portfolio, and of course there is a wider portfolio sort of moving forward. So we look at CommScope as a parent company. You might already work with these or have solutions from CommScope in terms of a lot of their solutions to do with both fiber and copper cabling around the campus environments and wider, as well as their cellular and distributed antenna systems. So you see what RUCKUS Networks kind of fits together quite nicely in a solution where we go wider in terms of smart buildings, smart cities, fiber, Cat6a cabling, but also the cellular kind of systems. So distributed antenna systems within buildings for mobile cellular enhancement, but also the actual things like OneCell, which is a great in-building solution for enterprises in terms of bringing certainly in the UK, the 4 network operators inside a building and giving great kind of complementary services to the Wi-Fi. So you've got a lot of choices within the overall organization, which is great for certainly for all the partners coming through Purdicom. In terms of the partner landscape that we currently have, obviously we have a Partner Pro network. So many of you as partners, as well as end customers, will be aware of it. But from a partner point of view, what this actually gives you is the capability of getting a lot more information about the solutions and help to market and promote and compete with our competition from the partnering point of view. So first of all, there's a single program with different partner levels. So some of you might be solution providers, some of you might be part of elite partners as well. But that means that you can get a particular level of resource from us here at Ruckus Networks. But we add to that some specific ones, enhanced ones, like the support specialist services. One that's appropriate for today is the cloud technology specialist. So as a partner, you can gain a certification of cloud technology specialist as well, and also managed service provider specialists as well. The kind of information you get is obviously days like this, the technical family days, to update your systems engineers, pre-sales engineers. So a bit of a slant on technology rather than selling as such, but that's one of the things you get access to. And also from the commercial point of view, you get access to marketing resource funds or MDF, marketing development funds, deal protection in terms of registering deals and protecting them from maybe other partners registering the same deal, competitive analysis. So a lot of stuff on our partner website that you should all be able to log into that gives you competitive analysis, the online training center, loads and loads of online content to be able to train both sales and pre-sales technical resources within that online training center. And of course, yourselves as partners referencing on the website as well. So lots of stuff going on, lots of benefits there. As part of those benefits, there's a load of promotions, and one promotion that's running, just about to run out, unfortunately, but just running until the end of this year, is the ZoneDirector to Cloud trade-in and trade-up promotion. So a specific promotion with the theme of the day of being migration from maybe ZoneDirector customers into RUCKUS Cloud. So there's a specific promotion. The details are on the partner site, as you see on the link below, and you'll get the slides from the session today. But basically, if you've got a customer that has previously purchased the ZoneDirector controller with a minimum of 5 licenses, you can then have access to discounts on a 3-year cloud licensing for both access points and ICX switches, and also discounts on selected access points and ICX switches included in that. I'm not sure whether this program will continue and be refreshed into the new year 2021, but check out in the promotions part on the link below and see what's going on there. But that's always check out for the specific promotions as we move forward. Okay. We've also got a lovely Ruckus networking portfolio. So again, you will have all hopefully have seen this particular portfolio, but as we move forward, we'll just explain the various different aspects of this and how it relates to all the options your customers has. One of the key parts here, I suppose, is that if your customer maybe goes for a cloud solution or even has a ZoneDirector solution, if their access points are supported, they're not too old, and we have a good record of supporting access points quite a way from the history as well. Those access points can be redeployed on other controller solutions. So that might be cloud, but if a customer grows maybe beyond what cloud can provide them, and they want to connect to maybe their own or a hosted SmartZone or another solution, that's an option. So you've got investment protection for your customers in terms of where they go next after an initial decision. So let's just run through this quickly from going from bottom to top. Obviously, we've got a good range of access points that we're going to look at in a little bit more detail. So both outdoor, indoor, and specialty access points of various types. We'll look at those in more detail in just a second. We've also got a great range of ICX switches, including a new switch that's just come out last month, which is the ICX 7550. So it gives us some great mid-range capabilities in multi-gig, high-end PoE capability. So that's a great addition to the product range there. We'll look at that in a moment. We've also got a whole load of controller and management options. As you see these days, we don't talk about Wi-Fi wireless controllers anymore. They are network controllers, as they're also the control point for the single pane of glass that gives you ICX management as well. So numbers of different options we have there. Obviously in the middle there, we're talking about cloud managed support today. So nice and easy, you buy your access points, you buy a cloud license for each access point and switch, and then you provision your access point or switches into your cloud portal. Nice and easy, very good for a particular set of customers, as we'll look at. We've also got other options. So we've got controllerless options. Unleashed is still around, so smaller customers up to 128 access points currently, meaning that a smaller location can be controllerless. One of the access points will take the control point. And there's management of up to 8 ICX switches with that solution as well. So again, the wired and wireless integrations continues to move on. We've also got our SmartZone platform, both physical appliances as well as virtual appliance software, hugely scalable, up to 30,000 APs plus, used in the very largest service providers sort of around the world as well. So it benefits you from relatively low end right the way through to huge scalability there. And finally, for your IoT services, we've got the RUCKUS IoT controller. So all the other solutions are controlling your access points and switches from the Wi-Fi point of view, but the IoT controller can add in Zigbee, Bluetooth, and just coming up Z-Wave and other options in terms of integrating customers' IoT sensors into the existing or a new Wi-Fi infrastructure. So great benefits in terms of cost savings there for customers. Right at the top, very briefly, we have some value-added services, things like CloudPath in terms of onboarding, secure onboarding services. Cloud analytics. Analytics works. RUCKUS Analytics gives you that's longer term analysis of the network, including sort of machine learning and very good troubleshooting capabilities. That's available from both cloud and also from SmartZone systems. So we'll touch on that a bit later on. We've also got Spot that's still around for location-based services on Wi-Fi. And also a few tools that are useful to you as partners. First of all, Intangi Iris, which is a great tool for building bill of materials and designing networks. That's a free tool for partners to be able to use, funded by us here at RUCKUS Network. So nice, easy tool to create bill of materials and designs. And also a wireless planning tool called Yagna, where you can get a trial version of that to play around with, to have a look at a desk-based Wi-Fi analysis tool. So that's the whole picture. You'll see how those things all work together as we move forward. Moving first of all into the wireless LAN solutions, so looking at access points specifically, and what will bring you up to date on what's happened with the access points within the solution here. No surprises here. We've got lots of challenges, and yourselves and your customers will have challenges in today's Wi-Fi networks, whether they're a big outdoor high density environment, whether that's education, stadium based, public transport, retail, all sorts of areas where Wi-Fi usage is pervasive in outdoor and high density environments. So that's a great, that is a particular phenomena happening at the moment. Obviously, everybody knows the number of clients is growing. People walking around with multiple devices, it's ever growing. And so there's more and more devices to get on the network and to provide great service to. Applications and services with diverse needs, whether that's looking at social media, control of different sensors and devices in the network, or indeed the massive growth of video. Video traffic still dominating and forecast to dominate the networks for many years to come as that video capability grows. So people's expectations have got higher and higher of the connectivity they need and the quality that they need. And that's where RUCKUS come in. And the differentiator for RUCKUS is certainly the radio innovations. So actually doing something very different to most of our competitors in terms of the radio innovations in our access points. And that applies to whichever controller solution you have, whether it's indeed ZoneDirector or whether it's RUCKUS Cloud, SmartZone, or any of the other controller systems. The access points enable this great solution. So if we move across these various different things, these are things you can talk to your customers about to differentiate why this particular cream access point from RUCKUS is very different to one from a competitor. So our old chestnut as well, the jewel in the crown, as it were, is BeamFlex. So BeamFlex is a system within, patented system within our access points that uses great radio technology within the access points and great antenna technology to be able to focus signals on particular clients on a packet by packet basis, therefore delivering a stronger signal at longer distances, even in challenging situations, through sort of enhancing getting a greater signal to noise ratio, which means that signal gets through. What does that actually mean to the customers? What that means is there's focused signal, there's better signal at the edge of the cell coverage. So the better signal than competitors at the edge of cell coverage. So therefore keeping those devices optimized in terms of their kind of quality of connection, the speed of connection, the further you move away from the access point. But also that focus means that you're reducing interference in particular cells around it as well. So lots of benefits there. It's worth looking at more information about BeamFlex if you want to talk at that kind of level to your customers in terms of what the differentiation is and how that benefits. We've also got ChannelFly. Obviously, ChannelFly is all about automatically finding the least congested channel. So whether that be in the 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz area, you want to be able to have the access points moving to the least congested channels if you want to be able to automatically provide the least congested channels. So again, enhancing the quality of the connection that the customer's got. So ChannelFly is available to be enabled on the access points from the solutions. We've also got per packet adaptive transmit power, so the ability to be more effective and responsive to clients as they move nearer or further from the access points. And also that knocks into as well adaptive Wi-Fi cell sizing. So the strongest interferer to an access point is generally another access point. So having access points being able to be aware of where each other are and be able to adjust their transmit and receive capabilities based on what's around them is a great way of avoiding interference. And again, therefore making the connectivity and the quality as good as possible for clients. We're also dealing in different ways with transient client management. So particularly in smart cities and large public venues, having those clients that are roaming in and out of the networks quite frequently, and we don't want them to disrupt existing clients that are trying to get best quality. So we have technologies to do that. Also things like airtime decongestion, which is optimizing the management traffic so that we're not spending a lot of time on management traffic like probes. We can suppress unnecessary probes to free up time for actual data traffic. And then finally, band steering in terms of steering clients to the best bands depending on the situation, whether it's 2.4 or 5 gig or maybe other bands in the future. So lots of radio innovation that assists all clients, not just specific clients that have certain capabilities in terms of the standards, but any client that's actually attached. If you add to that Wi-Fi 6, so Wi-Fi 6 is obviously the phenomena that customers are talking about at the moment. Wi-Fi 5, 802.11 AC, Wave 2, still going strong, still will go strong for a long period of time. But we do have customers in specific verticals, well, in many verticals, that are looking towards Wi-Fi 6 as both a latest and greatest, fastest speed kind of capability, but also future-proofing. If they're making a decision now, we're seeing a lot of customers who want to make a decision now that is kind of future-proofed for quite a few years ahead, in which case Wi-Fi 6 is one of the things they're looking at to be able to invest in right now. So Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11ax gives us a number of benefits we'll go into in a moment. Ruckus were first to market with the R750 access point, which has been around for a while now. And the R750 was the first one to be used as the certification access point for clients by the Wi-Fi Alliance. So quite proud within Ruckus Networks to be able to be there with that R750, and of course we'll see the rest of the range as we move forward. So what does Wi-Fi 6 actually give you? In a nutshell, there's 6 specific areas here. Rather than actually speed increase, which is included, as you can see from the bottom one, it's got improving the number of bits we get per symbol within the wireless capability. So 1024 QAM, packing more bits in. So that does give us a peak throughput increase for customers that have appropriate Wi-Fi 6 clients. But the rest of them are more focused on density. So how do we deal with more density? From the previous slide, more and more clients coming on the network, their expectations are getting higher and higher. So how do we deal with that density? So a number of other things here. First of all, some things like TWT, transmit wait time, which is all about allowing devices to effectively to go to sleep longer, such that they're enhancing the device battery, battery capabilities. So allowing devices to be more power efficient. So always as these technologies move on, they tend to use more and more power, but they've specifically in here tried to integrate features within Wi-Fi 6 that allow you to save power on those important client devices. Big change on Wi-Fi 6 from Wi-Fi 5 is OFDMA. So a technology that's kind of come from the cellular mobile environment, which is a better way of cutting down the time and frequency to a load of subcarriers, such that we can effectively pack more in the truck, if you like. So if you look at the packets as being trucks that are maybe not being filled completely within Wi-Fi 5, well, Wi-Fi 6 takes that a bit further by subdividing those packets into more frequencies effectively, and allowing you to pack much more data in. So again, network capacity is the key aim there. BSS, the BSS coloring. So within the subsystem of the base station here, within each access point, they did have the tendency to have clients actually causing inefficiencies on neighboring access points if they were effectively causing other clients to wait because they could see that there was a client there maybe expecting to talk. What we can do is actually effectively add a color, in inverted commas, to different access points, such that clients can understand if there's a client from a neighboring cell that's actually requesting to transmit, they're not requesting to transmit on the same access point. So therefore that second client can actually transmit as well. So again, making things better, coexistence, and again, higher capacity. Multi-user MIMO, we've had MIMO in various guises in the previous Wi-Fi capabilities. But again, multi-user MIMO in terms of, again, overlaying on the top of OFDMA, the capability of having multiple users talking at any specific one time, depending on how many streams. Okay, so you can have obviously access points that are 2-stream, 3-stream, 4-stream, or even 8-stream access points. Those streams can be used together to make individual clients faster, or with multi-user MIMO can be used to have multiple clients talking at the same time. And that depends on what your client capability has. So you certainly see mobile devices that may be 2-stream clients. You see Apple Macs that have higher stream capabilities. So again, that just allows you to pack more data in the system. And then the last one is a long OFDM symbol. So in terms of the symbol the symbol on the packets, allowing sort of better outdoor reliability and increase throughput on the indoor systems as well. So lots going on with Wi-Fi 6. Those customers, whether they know or don't know what Wi-Fi 6 actually gives them, they certainly see the marketing and see that it's the future. and it's here now, and that they can their investment now is probably going to be future-proofed if they buy Wi-Fi 6 today. Okay, so let's no questions as yet, but if you have any questions, don't forget the question and answer window there. So just moving into the portfolio of devices, just to very quickly look at the numbering of the Wi-Fi access points. So based on Wi-Fi 6, you can see that with Wi-Fi 5, 802.11ac, Wave 2, we've had some access points, the R series access points, that are the indoor portfolio. You can recognize some of those access points probably from installations you've done, you know, whether it be everything from the R320 at the lower end customers, the R510 at the mid-range, the kind of go-to access point for a lot of environments. Moving up the streams to a 3-stream unit, the R610 being very successful, especially in education. And at the higher end, more capacity, the R720, R710 and R720, and moving forward there. So what we've done with Wi-Fi 6 is kind of the numbering's got a little bit easier. Basically, anything with a 50 on the end is a Wi-Fi 6 access point. So we've got the R750, the first one there, which was a 4-stream device. Wi-Fi 6, 802.11 AX, sorry. Again, for sort of higher end, dense environments. And we come downwards again to the R650 and the R550. And there will be next year an R350 in terms of the lower end access points. And moving upwards, if you want to go to the super dense 8-stream unit, you can go to an R850 for those larger, large public venues, stadiums, anywhere where client density is most important, all at the same time. So those are the indoor. That's the indoor portfolio. We also got the outdoor portfolio, which is the T series, and again, our existing, you know, T710, T610, and T310, all doing great in the outdoor environments. And currently available, we have a T750 on the Wi-Fi 6 area, and soon to become available a T350 into next year. That'll give you Wi-Fi 6 on your outdoor access points. Hospitality is next. So the R510, big seller within hospitality environments. So again, the wall mount, data point mounted unit with a gigabit port for the backhaul, and then Wi-Fi 5, but also 5 gigabit ports to be able to plug devices into, you know, USB port as well for plugging in a IoT radio, Zigbee or Bluetooth, and the capability of doing meshing. And then the R320 going a little bit lower in terms of capability and number of Ethernet ports. And of course, don't forget, for those cable environments, the C110, which is great for those cable DOCSIS environments. If you still come across hotels or other environments where they have cable rather than Cat5e cabling, you've got an opportunity there to install a device without having to need to change the cabling, which is great. Where that's going to go next is not shown on the next slide, but where we're going next is early part of next year. We have the H550, so the Wi-Fi 6 version of the H510, which also has all the Wi-Fi 6 access points have built-in IoT radios of various different levels, whether it's 1 or 2 radio, so that you can actually get your IoT devices onto the system as well. It comes in there for free. So a great enhancement to the Wi-Fi 6 access points as we move forward. And then finally, the specialty ones. So you might have come across the E510 for, again, embedded access points for putting inside public Wi-Fi kiosks, trains, stadiums, those kind of environments. You've got an AP unit, also with a matched antenna that goes with it to allow you to still do the beamflex capability. So there's a pair of items that go together, work together there. And also for mobile hotspot environments, effectively, the M510, which gives you a dual SIM Wi-Fi hotspot with Wi-Fi 5 capability. And of course, the added benefit of these is they're still managed by the same controller platform. So you're taking your mobile one as well as your existing indoor and outdoor ones into the same management plane. Okay, so that's the access points. If we look at the ICX switches now, again, just a brief run through on where the switches currently sit. So hopefully you've all been busy selling and implementing ICX 7150s. Great range of switches within the access portfolio, whether they be standard 19-inch, 24, 48 ports, or the smaller compact one, a growing range of compact ones, whether they be 8 ports, low-end switching at 1 gig for apartments, MDU apartments for breaking out more Ethernet ports, or the classic 10-port device that's 1 and 10 gig uplink capable, and also the multi-gig unit. So both in the 19-inch and the C10 multi-gig Z-series switches, you have the capability of 2.5 and even 10 gig copper on the on one of the units as well. So a whole load of options in there for use. Again, remember they're all the ones within these columns are also stackable. So you can mix and match within, for example, the 7150 range, the stacking capability to create larger solutions for your end customers, or pay as you grow, come back and get some more. When you run out of ports, come back and get some more. So you can mix and match any of those switches together. Keep on saying access points. Any of those switches together, and they can stack within that 7150 range. What we've also got is a new switch that's just come out in the mid-range, the 7550. And the 7550 it sits alongside the older 7450 as a mid-range switch that gives you multi-gig capability, 2.4, 5, and 10 gig capability within the unit at a kind of more attractive price than some of the higher end systems. So again, might be a unit you want to look at if you've got, for example, anything up to 24 10 gig copper or fiber requirement. A 7550 is a great switch to look at within that mid-range area. And that moves forward in terms of also the 7650, in terms of, again, higher end, slightly higher end, multi-gig, I should say, 1, 2.5, 5, 10 gig capability, and lots of uplink capabilities and stacking at 100 gigs. So leveraging those higher speeds that are coming out in our industry now. And then the top end, if you're looking for a core switch, of course, or a core set of switches for any particular environment, then the 7850 is our core switch, which has, you know, I suppose the flagship there is the 32 times 100 gig Ethernet interfaces on a single switch. Briefly across the range here, all these switches feature non-blocking full line rate capability, so they're enterprise grade switches. That's a key point against certainly some of the lower end competition. The second point is the software, the fast iron software that runs on these switches is the same across the board. So if you know how to work a 7150 switch, you'll know how to work a 7850. And that knocks on into how they're controlled as well. So each of these, like an access point, will call back to a controller for management. And it's that fast iron software that enables that. So right across the range, we support all these ICXs on the various different controller platforms. Final point here is optics. Don't hesitate to come to us about optics and cables as well. You possibly may be surprised at some of the capability in larger installations in terms of pricing. So do have a look at our cables and optics via Purdicom as well as we kind of move forward. Key propositions, I think I might have hit some of these things, but stacking, obviously we're stacking with standard Ethernet cables and ports, no special cables, no modules to add in to enable stacking. It comes for free as part of the whole solution, and you can stack up to 12 units in a stack. Obviously the big benefit there is single manageable switch. So rather than 12 separate switches, you've got a single manageable switch, which makes management so much easier. Power and performance are non-blocking, no oversubscription, lots of multi-gig ports, lots of PoE. So if you want anything, you know, 30 watts PoE plus and beyond on various different switch options, you know, have a look at those. And also remember lifetime warranty. So next business day replacement built into the cost of the switch for your end customers with the capability of enhancing that for tax support and other elements alongside Purdicom as well, and the services that they provide. In terms of policy control and management, where we have is a number of different controller capabilities available. We saw these earlier on the big sort of portfolio slide, but if we have a look based on the market that we've got here, so the market from SMBs at the low end right the way through to large campus customers, there is a solution there for every sort of customer. So let's skip cloud for a second and go to Unleashed. So Unleashed as a controllerless option, nice and easy to set up, wizard-based setup. You know, set up the first access point, and then other access points within that local network will naturally join and deploy onto that controller access point. Adding in up to 8 switches as well for a bit of control and management. That sits perfectly within SMB single sites, or even high-end residential environments. In fact, our biggest partner of Unleashed certainly within the UK and Ireland, but possibly within Europe, that sells a whole load of Unleashed within the high-end residential environment, and very successful for their particular dealers. So Unleashed is a great option for that end of the market. We then feed into SmartZone that takes you basically anything from one access point, one switch, right the way through to 30,000 within a clustered SmartZone deployment. So very scalable, very linear in terms of the pricing of how that works as well. So for slightly above SME and upwards, SmartZone's a great option for either customer owned or partner managed, or even managed service provider solutions, which it kind of hits on the bottom there. Where we're going to talk about a lot more today is RUCKUS Cloud and where that fits. And you can see we're hitting the arrow right the way across the line. Where RUCKUS Cloud fits is for the customer that doesn't want to own equipment, doesn't want to manage equipment. They want to have RUCKUS Cloud effectively providing you a portal that allows you to easily provision access points and switches onto that portal based on a license per access point and switch, and then grow that quite high in terms of scalability. Effectively, the scalability for those customers goes to whatever you want it to be in terms of numbers of access points and switches. So very scalable, suits the kind of lean IT department that doesn't want to look after systems. Anything where we're looking for simplicity of control, as opposed to maybe SmartZone that adds certainly to the technical guys, adds more bells and whistles and configurable items in infinite detail. If you've got a customer that's a little bit simpler, looking for a simpler solution than that, then RUCKUS Cloud is the great option there. What is cloud? So cloud is a great RUCKUS service. It's hosted within the cloud. Hosted in a number of locations for Europe. It's hosted within Google within Frankfurt. So there's a European-based version. There's a US, European, and Asian versions for hosting locations. You've got management of the wired and wireless devices, ICXs and access points. And you've also got built-in reporting and analytics. So just covering that, what this gives you is a single pane of glass, single portal into a system, northbound APIs that allow you to integrate into and allow us to integrate into other systems. We'll talk about MSP licensing. So customers can you can sell to customers a RUCKUS Cloud license, number of licenses, or the alternative is you can license as an MSP. So as a managed service provider, yourselves as partners can buy bundles of licenses to then manage your own deployment of customers and the first and second line support from those customers as well. So giving you as MSPs much more control of the end customer and control of how you do your licensing and pricing. Gives you all that monitoring, traffic visibility, switch stacking, port visibility, PoE utilization, lots of information there. Included in the RUCKUS Cloud license is 12 months of reporting in terms of canned and customized reports and dashboards. And what you can then add to that, which is the asterisked part here, is RUCKUS Analytics. So again, RUCKUS Analytics, which is based in the cloud, can be added as an additional license where we've got the machine learning capability, network dashboards and custom SLAs, and all the client troubleshooting in there that gives you great capability of quickly troubleshooting and looking at issues within the network. So just to summarize there, 2 levels of licensing. You know, RUCKUS Cloud as a base level gives you all the features up to and including the 12 months of reporting and the CAN reports. As a value add to your end users, you can then add licensing for RUCKUS Analytics to get the reporting and analytics kind of on a much longer term basis with all the machine learning and artificial intelligence that brings, that so many customers find as a benefit. Key thing there, key link there is the link there to show which devices are supported on RUCKUS Cloud. So again, an important link to check, certainly if you're migrating customers forwards from older access points. So you'll see a long list of access points that are supported there, both the Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6 access points on that list. So check that list first of all, based on your customers' existing access points. Again, we are very good at supporting access points, you know, quite a way back into history, but we've still got a lot of RUCKUS access points hanging around from tens of years ago. So so check that list first of all in terms of customer migrations. One thing to make you aware of, and it's a question that does come up from time to time, and as partners, you can get access to a controller solution comparison. This is confidential and it's available to partners that have a non-disclosure agreement signed. So we're not giving you the link to it here as such. It's not available on a link, to be honest, but if you want to get hold of this, this is basically a comparison of features on each of the different controllers, whether it be ZoneDirector, Unleashed, Cloud, or SmartZone, so that you can do a comparison of features that are available on each of the systems and whether they're currently available on the other ones. So it's a good ready list. If you need that comparison, talk to your local SE, your local RUCKUS systems engineer, or talk to Purdicom, to the technical guys in Purdicom, and assuming the right NDA is in place, then we can get you that list of that matrix of solution comparison to be able to help you on that quest with your customers. Okay, just checking it. I'm watching the chat, Daryl. So if you have any questions coming in, let me know. If you just ping me on the chat, just to let me know you're still we're all still there.
Yeah, I'm still here, and the Q&A is, the only thing that's in there is tumbleweed. So there's a challenge for someone to ask us a question. And because I can't, as good as you are, Simon, I can't believe that you're answering absolutely everybody's questions about everything.
Nor can I. So yeah. So go ahead. So Daryl, as he sits there, he's definitely a specialist in the large public venues, and certainly has had the most experience amongst us on cloud deployments. And I know he runs his whole home environment on RUCKUS Cloud, both switches and access points. So if you've got any questions, feed them in there.
And any cycling tips.
And yes, and cycling tips as well. There you go.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks, Daryl. So RUCKUS Cloud positioning. So okay, some of the things did you know? This is kind of heading towards, kind of being blunt, that, ZoneDirector is kind of coming to the end of its life, and at some stage, your customers will want to move on or be encouraged to move on from current deployments into a different solution. RUCKUS Cloud is one of those options, but what the key insight into RUCKUS Cloud, as you can see from these market insights, 40% of AP shipped in EMEA in 2023 forecasts will be cloud managed. So if you think about the market, the huge market that's going to be there for cloud management, then RUCKUS Cloud's a clear contender for that chunk of the market. And as you can see, that's quite a large chunk of market to go for, and growing. And also, if we look at sort of, it's a 2018 figure in terms of European enterprises that have migrated to cloud-hosted services. So quite a chunk of enterprises saying that they have moved to a cloud-based environment. So certainly it's something to start discussing with your customers. It obviously enables both RUCKUS Cloud discussions, but also, as you know, you can then move that discussion on. If it's inappropriate for your customer, you can then move that discussion on to maybe Unleashed at the lower end. You know, Unleashed goes up to 120 odd access points currently, which is quite a large deployment, or maybe even a SmartZone deployment as well. So it's a great conversation starter, even if it kind of develops into other RUCKUS solutions. And again, remember the access points are the common thing here. The access points, you know, even if the customer makes a decision for RUCKUS Cloud now, and then in a year's time decides, yeah, it's not quite the thing they really wanted. They want more hooks, if you like, to be able to do more configuration and stuff. Then maybe SmartZone's a place to go, and those access points can be migrated to another controller solution nice and easily. So thing to bear in mind. Questions you might need to qualify. So certainly, you know, if you're in sales or you're helping your sales guys, talk about some of the pushback that you might get. There's a few here. We'll deal with each of these in a little bit more detail on the next few slides. So things to ask about, you know, does your customer have a small IT team who spend their time doing not just network operations, but all the other things as well? We've all seen that in smaller school environments. All sorts of IT teams are 1 or 2 person IT teams that have got day-to-day responsibilities that go far wider than the network. So making the network easier is something for them. Do they have more than one site or environment and need to see a full picture of the branch? So again, think of RUCKUS Cloud as a great solution for smaller pockets of deployment. So if you think of maybe not the best example in the current times, but restaurant chains, you know, lots and lots of small locations that need to be managed from a central solution. If you look at you know, even again the high-end residential environment, but also into enterprises. So you want to quickly turn up a solution for an enterprise customer that has a certain requirement. Then that's something you can do. And again, ultimately scalable, because we can scale up to as many access points as you can do within and switches in the access environment. Struggling to rapidly and cost efficiently troubleshoot. So that's where cloud analytics adds in this artificial intelligence that's looking at the problems in the network, categorizing them in terms of our kind of help desk style P1, P2, P3, P4 sort of priority levels, and kind of allowing that IT guy or IT manager to zero in on the most important problems and be told what the solution is going to be from that system as well. So a great system, loads of anecdotal and case study evidence to show how either solutions to problems are found quicker, or even some great anecdotes, particularly in the hospitality environments, of problems they didn't know they had that were then solved. So great things happening with RUCKUS Cloud Analytics as well. You know, easy to operate, low maintenance platform that's always on the latest release. So again, being a cloud system, it's upgraded in the cloud. Customers now have a choice to defer upgrades until a time of their choice. So lots of capability in there in terms of control, as well as keeping things up to date as well. So lots of stuff going on there. Objections we get. So obviously we have a very large competitor within cloud-based environments who's very well established, as well as a few others. So some of the things we get is RUCKUS Cloud is not feature rich. You know, how secure is it? You know, can it support a business of my size, or is it just for small customers? And RUCKUS doesn't offer an end-to-end solution. So going into each of those things, first of all, RUCKUS Cloud is not feature rich enough. Okay, well, you know, RUCKUS Cloud is continuously moving forward. Some of the releases are coming out, you know, every couple of months in some cases. So new features are being added in all the time. A good point here, let's not confuse simplicity with performance. We want to provide a simple solution with the appropriate features for the majority of customers. But don't forget that Wi-Fi performance. The performance of the Wi-Fi in the access points is the same as you get with a SmartZone solution. It's all that great technology in there doing beam flex and channel fly and other things. That's all available, but being managed by the RUCKUS Cloud. So again, great option there. You know, we're obviously putting in the most requested features as they come through. Things like cloud Wi-Fi, guest Wi-Fi, I should say, social media login, a load of new features coming all the time. And again, we'll continue to roll that forward. So, don't just take for granted when a customer says maybe RUCKUS Cloud is not feature rich. They're probably most likely not up to date on what features are actually available in there. So, so put them right on that one. Next one, how secure is RUCKUS Cloud? So concerned about cloud, where's my data stored, my customer usage and everything. So our cloud solution is GDPR compliant. So full terms and conditions on the website. You'll be able to find those very easily. In terms of regions, we do host RUCKUS Cloud in a number of different regions, and this will expand as political stuff moves forward, I'm sure. But currently within Europe, Frankfurt is the Google Compute area where the cloud data is stored for European. You get a chance when you enable your license to pick the region that you want to be in. So that's a user selectable item. Can be US data centers, Frankfurt for Europe, and then Asia Pac centers are also available. As regards control data coming from the access point, as you would expect, just like all the other access point and switch connectivity, it's all SSH connection. So it's all encrypted connection that's going between the access points and switches on site and the RUCKUS Cloud. So again, all the mutual authentication and encryption is involved there. And so a lot of security measures in there in terms of your customer's data and where is it stored. Can RUCKUS Cloud support a business of my size? This is pointed to customers maybe taking the conclusion that this is for small customers. Obviously, it fits nicely with those kind of customers because it's got the simple method of operations, simple provisioning, and away you go, nice and easy. But don't forget, it's ultimately scalable because it's cloud. You can scale up to quite, thousands and thousands of access points and switches naturally, just in a nice model of license fee per access point or switch, and away you go. And that includes the RUCKUS Analytics as well when you get those licenses. So it can fit into some very, very large organizations as well as those small ones. So understanding what your customer really needs is the key there. Here's a specific one that we get a lot, which is RUCKUS don't offer an end-to-end solution. So this is hitting Meraki solutions specifically. Some customers may be a bit more advanced and maybe like the fact that they get firewalls and everything included in their Meraki solution. If you go for that, maybe a trickier one to go for, but we got some answers to that. So historically, we've been known for great Wi-Fi performance. We still go back to that. And also the great switch performance within there. So you've got Wi-Fi and switches involved in the solution. All that machine learning and analytics done by RUCKUS Analytics. We offer kind of best of breed networking within the building, within the premise. So again, that's great for allowing that quality. What we don't do, bluntly, what we don't do is firewalls. Now, firewalls that might come along at some stage, but if you've got a customer that wants firewalls, Meraki is maybe a solution there. But as this is a Purdicom presentation, go and talk to Purdicom about their great WatchGuard solutions. So adding in a great firewall from Purdicom alongside a RUCKUS solution, it's a great combination, and it's working with a lot of partners in terms of that overall solution and bringing that together. So have a chat with Purdicom about WatchGuard if you haven't already. If we do a kind of feature comparison with our competitors, this we could, a little bit tongue in cheek maybe, but if we rate ourselves against our nearest competitors in the cloud environment, analytics, our machine learning and analytics is top grade. Even in comparison to one of the up and coming competitors there missed. You know, the analytics and capability in RUCKUS Analytics is top grade there. Wi-Fi and switching performance, we put ourselves ahead of everyone else on that for all the reasons we've seen earlier. Hopefully you agree with that, but that's where we are. Investment protection, again, don't forget, you know, if we compare ourselves, for example, to Meraki, you know, if you want to move your access points and switches away from a cloud solution to on-premise or something else, that's an option with RUCKUS. That's not a problem. And we're going to see in the last section here the method of moving access points from ZoneDirector into cloud. Most other methods of moving them to our other solutions are even easier than that. So very easy investment protection. Longer term reporting, we have longer term reporting based on most of the others. If you look at how long they'll keep their data for within the cloud environment, you check on the terms and conditions there, and you'll see that we've got some great options there. Network stack integration. So again, okay, we haven't got firewalls or SD-WAN stuff at the moment, but Wi-Fi and switching, we've got all that there. And alongside Purdicom, great distributor, you've got other options there with some great firewall products in there. And cost and pricing, you know, look at the pricing and see what you think there compared to the others as well. Let's look at licensing next. So licensing, and just to simplify this. So 1 second. Okay. Now you can dive into the price list from RUCKUS that you all have available to you, and the licensing initially, you know, might on the surface look a bit complicated, but it is pretty easy. We'll just try and demystify that on a couple of slides here. There's two models by which you can purchase licenses. I'm gonna go to the bottom one first. So the one we first started with, the end customer business model. So the end customer buys AP and switch subscription licenses from yourselves as RUCKUS partners. The end customer then activates their service on our cloud portal, and the end customer is able to log in to their portal and manage access points and switches. What they can also do is invite their partner from within the portal to manage their network. So if they want the partner to manage the network, they can do that. And the end customer can also switch partners. So if they, for whatever reason, fall out with a partner and want to move to another partner, that's, again, quite flexible from a customer point of view. So you're giving the customer all the options there. The other model is the NMSP business model. So different SKUs, different part numbers for managed service providers, which is the most recent sort of innovation. So in this case, maybe yourselves as partners can become a managed service provider by buying MSP licenses, a bundle of MSP licenses. You then have your MSP portal, and in your MSP portal, you then have the flexibility to create end user customers. So you can create your retail customer, your hotel chain customer, your high-end residential customers. You have control over creating those accounts and then selling them licenses. The customer sees your branding, so it's your brand that's on the solution rather than RUCKUS as such. And also the customer can then call you for first and second line support. So it means you have the capability, more control, more branding, more high touch of your end customer in terms of control and how and when you sell those particular licenses. So those two models, you know, hopefully nice and clear on what those two models are. Here's the picture that looks very complicated, but we'll demystify this. So when you go and have a look, if you have a look at this, apologies, there's a bit of an eye chart, but if you have a look at end user and MSP licensing and the SKUs involved. Let's look at the simple one here. Standard SKU for an end user is to buy a cloud license for a device which can be either on a 1, 3, or 5 year basis. So you buy one of those for each AP and or switch that we'll come on to in a moment. So quite simply, that includes everything. It includes the management of that AP plus the technical support is all built into that one license for 1, 3, or 5 years. So quite simply, for a customer with 200 access points, you buy 200 licenses. When the customer enables or activates that licensing, they get their portal and they get their access points provisioned into their particular portal. That's all done. We'll see a bit of that in a moment, but that's all done based on serial number. So quite simply, when an access point powers up, it will go and find the RUCKUS Cloud first of all, and if the serial number of that access point is allocated to a certain customer, Mr. Retail, for example, Mr. Retail customer then has those automatically turn up in their particular account. Nice and easy. What we also have is some special SKUs for education. So again, for education details, for education customers, they have a slightly better deal on 5-year access point licenses. And there's also SKUs for renewal of the licenses, and also temp or trial licenses that can be generated. So the key one there really is the standard one at the top there. It kind of explains that. With MSP licensing of the access points, again, you buy 1, 3, or 5-year licenses, but you can see the SKU is slightly different because that's being bought by the managed service provider, who can then allocate those to customers. So again, example there is buy 1,000 licenses, and then enable a customer that's his 200 licenses you use on one customer, 100 licenses on the next customer, 25 on the next one, and away you go. Now with switches, this is slightly different. This is looks a little bit more complicated, but the reason why you have more SKUs here is because the support is included within the license. We have different licenses for the different level of ICX switches, as you see here. So for a 7150 compact 8-port, which is a very low end 1 gigabit compact switch, the license is relatively low cost, as the support is lower cost for us to provide. It kind of moves up as we go on to the rest of the 7150 range, or even if you get up to the higher core 7850 switch, you can see that the support just is required, more effort is required into the support, and that relates to the cost of the license. So again, the kind of highlight there really for both MSP and standard SKUs, end user licensing, is the license depends on the model number of ICX that you're actually going to procure in. So watch out for that one. And then you've also got your education bundles, renewal SKUs, and temporary SKUs as well. Okay, so that gives you, again, the majority of the features, but if you want the extra, upsell, if you like, to RUCKUS Analytics, then there's some 1, 3, and 5-year SKUs for RUCKUS Analytics, and they'll be coming shortly to the MSP portal as well. But as end users can currently buy that, we can also do temporary licenses as well for various customers. So hopefully that's demystified the part numbers there, and it's hopefully makes a lot of sense. Okay, when a customer, this is one of my points that I'm always challenging the cloud product managers on, is what's the customer going to see? What are they actually going to see before they actually get set up? So basically, as you probably know, all our licensing is actually emailed out to the end user. The end user will be able to, or the MSP in terms of the MSP model. So the end user gets an email with a certain number of licenses. As you can see here, it's telling them they've got 10 access point and 5 switch licenses. They just click on the activation code there, link, which then allows them to log into the RUCKUS support portal, and where they can actually activate their purchase. That's basically aligning their purchase into their RUCKUS single sign-on account. So they activate their purchase. It allows them to, in the step 2, allows them to choose where they want their license to be physically located in terms of hosting. So does it want to be North America, Europe, or Asia? So you can select where you want them physically to be in terms of, obviously, Europe in terms of GDPR. And then we can actually register those clouds and bind them to the support. So everything is then set up. You've then got those licenses available within your cloud portal. So nice, easy setup to get you going. and then away you go. So whether it's an end user or managed service provider, those licenses appear and away you go. So just pause. We've got, I can see Daryl's answered a second question there. Yeah, nothing relevant to the technology, but yeah.
So still tumbleweeds from a technology point of view, but
no problem.
For testing me there, yeah.
So I can see we've still got all the most of the attendees that joined. So thanks for sticking with us. We're getting to the last part of the presentation here, so we're kind of running to my timings. Okay. So, the last part of the presentation here is about migration of APs from ZoneDirectors to RUCKUS Cloud. So first of all, before we do this, obviously there's a great upgrade opportunity at the moment to take ZoneDirector customers into cloud. That's what we're talking about today. But just to demystify how RUCKUS access points actually connect to the controllers, first of all, just to lead in. So one of the things you hopefully know is that RUCKUS access points are available as either an unleashed SKU or as a standard SKU, if you like to call it that. So the unleashed SKU obviously will fire up. The first access point in an unleashed location will fire up with a wizard-based setup that can allow you to set that up as the master AP in a particular small business or home style location. That becomes the master access point. Any other unleashed access points that have started up in that location actually connect to that master box. So it's really easy provisioning. It's what our kind of high-end residential customers and the dealers that deal with them, it may be in the AV environment is a great example. They love the fact of the easy provisioning and control. So it's a big advantage in terms of the capability, even before you start talking about great Wi-Fi capability with the access points. The standard SKUs basically fire up in a location, and they will call back to their first port of call is to the RUCKUS registrar in the network. And that's both for APs and switches. So the first place the registrar will try is to see if that access point or switch's serial number is on a RUCKUS Cloud account. That's the first place it will look. And if it's on a RUCKUS Cloud account, that will go into that customer's, that end user's RUCKUS account. So zero touch deployment. No worries about firewalls on customer sites because the call is outbound from access points and switches to get to the cloud. So again, and it's a secure tunnel, an SSH tunnel that's going to the cloud solution. There's also solutions for SmartZone customers where if they're not on cloud, they'll then look for a SmartZone based on registrar capabilities there. Or they may look at, you may have DHCP options to be able to point those access points to the right controller. So lots of options on easy zero touch provisioning for both access points and switches. Now, more specifically, there's a little bit more involved to get access points from a ZoneDirector to RUCKUS Cloud. We just have to do a little bit more technical work. We've tried to make it as simple as possible, and so stay with me, and we'll follow through the process of actually doing that. So migration of access points from ZoneDirector to cloud. So what we have to do first of all is actually allow the access point to upgrade its firmware. So the firmware that's on the access points for the ZoneDirector has to be upgraded to a standalone access point to be able to connect it to cloud to then be able to have firmware from the cloud deployed on the access point. So there's kind of a two-step process there. So what we basically have to do is do a few little bits and use a bit of tooling to be able to both point the access points away from the ZoneDirector to the cloud, but also upgrade the firmware. So this procedure kind of assumes that if you've got your access points have access to a DHCP server to give it an IP address, we need that for this particular process to be able to get those access points factory defaulted, and they should then get their IP address from DHCP locally on the site. There are other processes available if you haven't got DHCP servers or you want to manually do the whole process, but this is the easiest process to follow through. What you need for this process is a DHCP server on site, and also a TFTP server to be able to download the AP image to the AP. What's going to happen is, the AP is going to be factory defaulted and then be upgraded and then pointed towards the cloud. First thing to make sure is a bit of pre-planning involved here. You check that everything's working with the ZoneDirector first of all. So don't assume everything's working. Check that all your APs are currently connected to ZoneDirector and operational, and back up the ZoneDirector to make sure you have a backup of the configuration. Okay, that's an important point. You don't want to start from a broken situation before you actually upgrade into cloud. So first thing to do is do a bit of due diligence on their existing solution that's working with ZoneDirector. What we then need to do is get a list of the access point names, the IP addresses, and the serial numbers of the access points that are on the site. Now, there's various ways you can do this. You can go into the ZoneDirector and get a report. You can export those serial numbers. Also, you can, worst case, if you haven't got that capability, you can use SNMP to actually go and poll the ZoneDirector to get that information. Or even more worst case, you can get that information from the customer, maybe looking at IP addresses and serial numbers on boxes. But the easier way of doing it is to either migrate it from, or export it, I should say, from the ZoneDirector. Or if you haven't got that kind of access, there are some steps here to be able to do an SNMP walk to actually fire some SNMP commands at the ZoneDirector and get it to respond with a list of the access point serial numbers and a list of access point IP addresses. So following these simple steps through here, you can then use, whether you're using Linux or a Windows laptop, you can use an SNMP walk command to be able to actually look and extract that information from the ZoneDirector. I won't dwell on the requirements there. Obviously, you've got to make sure SNMP is turned on the ZoneDirector and then actually do these commands here. So a few things to look at there. Obviously, it's easier if you can export that information from ZoneDirector. All well and good. That's great. We can move forward. What you've then got is a list of, hopefully a list of access point names, maybe locations, maybe serial numbers, hopefully serial numbers, and also IP addresses. The main bit we need to get that into cloud is basically AP names and serial numbers. That's the important bit we have to get in the cloud, so that when the access point calls into the cloud, the registrar within the big wide internet there is going to push them into the right customer. So that's the important aspect. So you can see some manipulation of CSV files here just to be able to import that into the cloud, and we'll see that in a moment. So some of the things we need to do to be able to do this successfully, first of all, DHCP, we need to disable DHCP option 43. So generally on site, DHCP option 43 is the IP address of the local ZoneDirector, or it may be using DNS discovery as well. So we need to disable those things and also disable AP auto approve on the ZoneDirector. We don't want the APs to reboot and then reconnect to the ZoneDirector straight away, because that's not what we want. So we then need to delete all the access points from the ZoneDirector that you want to move. So we delete them so that they may appear again, but they will appear as unapproved. What you then need to use is a special tool that we have available to you, which is called Crossbreeder. Crossbreeder is maintained by our pre-sales teams, particularly one of the guys in the pre-sales team, to be able to manage AP firmware upgrades and moving them across to other solutions. So to download the tool, which is called Crossbreeder, make sure you've got a TFTP server on the network as well. So you could be running that on a laptop or temporarily on a device in the network. And then what we also need to do is, from our support site, you need to download the latest AP solo firmware from the support site. So you'll find different styles of firmware on the support site. All the ones that start in 11X, so maybe 114, for example, is the firmware to make the AP a standalone or solo AP. We need to do that in the first step to then allow it to connect to cloud. So we can name those, for example, it's giving you the format of the name, so stick to the format. So if you've got, for for example, R510 firmware, you call it R510 underscore firmware dot BL7. So you you get a piece of firmware for every single AP that the customer has on their site. Okay, what we then need to do is take our lists of access points and IP addresses that you had in the earlier step, and you import that into Crossbreeder. So this is the tool Crossbreeder, as you can see in front of you. All we need to do, the main bits we need there for discovery is to input all the IP addresses of the existing access points on the customer site. Okay, what we then need to do is click on Go. And what's happened there, this is a cheeky little test just to make sure you're paying attention, but we could put the AP command line details as the default super and SP admin, but of course that's going to fail because currently they still have whatever the admin password, username and password that was set on ZoneDirector. So you first of all need to fill in the customer's username and AP username and access point, and password for the from the ZoneDirector. So example may have been, it might have been admin and admin, maybe not a very secure password, but insert the password of your choice, hit go again, and what it will do, this Crossbreeder tool will learn based on talking to the IP addresses of the APs. It will learn the model of the AP, the name of the AP, and the firmware version that's currently running on it. Okay, so currently you can see the firmware version on this example is 10.2.1.0. blah, blah, blah. That is actually a ZoneDirector version of firmware. We want to change that into a solo or standalone firmware version. So in the next step, what we're actually going to do is click for the AP to be reset to factory defaults and do a reboot. So we first of all click those and hit go, and it's now going to reboot all those APs. The APs will lose their configuration, they will lose their contact with the ZoneDirector, and will be ready for doing the upgrade. What we then do in the next step is to unclick the reset buttons here, and then click the button here to change the firmware. And what this is going to do is going to push towards the access points the requirement to go and talk to a TFTP server at a certain address. So this could be a laptop or a device on the site that's running TFTP server. And then we can show the format, just copy that same format there of the firmware that it's going to pick up. And once again, we hit go. And Crossbreeder is going to log into each access point, get it to load the firmware, the solo firmware, via the TFTP server, and come back up again. Okay, what our particular system engineer has recommended here is that you open up a second Crossbreeder instance. So the first one you leave as it is, don't touch that. Open up a second one, and every now and again hit go on the second one, and you'll get a kind of refresh of what's going on. And what you can see is that access point will be upgraded to the solo version 114.0. Now what's going to happen as it does a reset, those access points are now going to naturally contact the registrar in the big bad internet and get pointed towards cloud, and then get provisioned on the cloud account. And again, using the serial numbers that we've previously put into cloud, it will then assign that AP to a certain customer's account, and will then download a second lot of firmware, which is the cloud firmware, 5.2. something. Okay, so you can see there's been a two-step move there. Let me go back. I just want to emphasize a point. You can see the serial numbers aren't in this, but I just want to emphasize a point that one of the first steps back that I skipped over a bit too quickly was to get it ready in the cloud to accept those APs. What the cloud wants in terms of importing access points is the cloud wants the access point name, maybe the venue, the venue of the access point. That's effectively the equivalent of a zone, and also the serial number. The serial number and the name and the venue are the important parts there. So we previously got that ready for this next step, this final step here, where the access points have resetted. They're calling into the cloud, connecting to the cloud. The cloud has their serial numbers already for Mr. Retail as a customer, and they can then go directly into Mr. Retail's account and be provisioned within that account. So and then we got them connected. You can see them connecting to the cloud there. Just one thing to mention is some of these, depending on how often you refresh this second instance of Crossbreeder, you may see some ones that seem to time out. Recommendation is to actually go, rather than assume something's failed here, go to the cloud account now and check that all those access points have been provisioned into cloud. It can be that they've gone straight into the cloud and skipped Crossbreeder in that final step. So the place to check for absolute sure that they have actually been provisioned is to go into your cloud one and see which ones are operational, which ones are configuring, and you should see a full list of the customer's access points coming into their cloud solution there. And bear in mind, this can take a little bit of time, so give it a bit of time to happen and to be okay. Okay, so hopefully that's then allows you to check that all access points have been migrated into the solution and are up and running in the cloud. And then finally, you get the capability of actually performing the final configuration. So again, nice and easy. Now it's on the cloud. You can create your wireless LANs, you can create your groups, your positions, your maps, your profiles, all the various different parameters on there. So that's the final step to set up the customer and make sure the right SSIDs are being radiated in the environment, and set up their preferences for maybe guest configuration and that kind of stuff. Okay, and then finally, sit back and pat yourself on the back that you've got your customer actually moved from ZoneDirector to cloud. So that's the last slide. I just want to kind of finally just go through that just talk you through that last final steps from ZoneDirector. So what we have is, again, access points running on a ZoneDirector. We want to reboot those access points, get them to a standalone access point firmware, and then allow them to point themselves at the cloud to be provisioned. So a number of steps in that in parallel. Crossbreeder is doing the upgrade of the firmware alongside a TFTP server, as well as allowing them to go into the registrar in the cloud. But before that, in the customer's cloud account, you put in the access point names and the serial numbers so that when they come into the cloud, they'll go into the right customer's account. So two things happening in parallel there, I guess, just to make sure everything's okay. Okay, that gets us, that gets us to the final slide, Q&A time. So we've finished all the content that we have for this particular session. All that remains is any Q&A content. So we're a little bit earlier, probably we're bang on the time I thought we would be. So any Q&A, plenty of time for Q&A here if you've got any questions. I think the kind of summary of the things you've seen there, I think cloud is a great solution, certainly a great talking point, great solution for customers, great one specifically for ZoneDirector customers that want to migrate forward. Just remember the APs run on any of the cloud solutions. So you've got the great AP benefits added on to some great controller benefits as well. But it's also a great starting point with a customer conversation that might lead you into SmartZone or other options for controllers as well. And don't forget those switches. Those switches are controlled and managed on SmartZone, on cloud, and even a little bit on Unleashed as well, don't forget. So a lot of integration there, and they'll continue to move forward. So any final questions? Thank you, Richard, for the comments. Hopefully, as you say, you're in sales, so hopefully you're armed with all the right things to say to go out and sell that cloud solution from RUCKUS.
Only question, Simon, is will the session be available offline for offline consumption?
Offline consumption is certainly enabled, I think. Certainly Carla and the team, I'm sure, will enable that sort of on our behalf. But certainly one of the things to also go to is, as partners, you are all able to go to the RUCKUS Wireless partner site, partners.ruckuswireless.com, where there's always a load of online webinars that have been recorded and available there, both from our US colleagues and also here in UK and Ireland and other ones. So lots of stuff in there for you to be able to get. But I know Carla and the team at Purdicom have a great website with lots of content on there. In fact, I was looking at some of it this morning. So saw our good old Alex Claro doing a good presentation on Wi-Fi 6 there. So yeah, have a look at the Purdicom site as well. Very easy to find the webinars there.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your question, Ian. And just some more positive comments in, Simon. So for what a good job you've done. So thank you very much for those.
Yeah, thank you for the pat on the back from everyone. That's very nice of you. Okay, nothing much further coming in, so I guess we'll certainly stop the recording now, yeah, we'll end the session now. So if no further questions.
Probably just worth pointing out, of course, you know, if questions do happen further down the line, then obviously we're always available to assist at that point in time, whether or not it be RUCKUS and or Purdicom.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Darryl. That's a good point. So that's it. I think just want to wish you all a very happy Christmas. Hope you have some good time off over Christmas, and I'm sure we'll see you on another webinar very soon. So thanks everybody.
Thanks everyone, and many thanks, Simon. Cheers.